Righty, thank you. So good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us for our kickoff meeting about some upcoming improvements to Viewmont Park. Mecklenburg County Park and Recreation staff are excited to begin the process of working with you and your neighbors to identify improvements to the park that reflect your needs. My name is Bert Lynn. I'm Capital Planning Division Director for Mecklenburg County Park and Recreation. I've got some other folks that are going to be speaking tonight that are also with Capital Planning. Darnika Waters, who's a planner with our group, and Katie Lloyd, who's a senior planner within our group. Next slide, please. During today's meeting, we want to discuss how this park was funded and share some of the context and history of Viewmont Park. Most importantly, though, we want to hear from you. We have a series of questions and discussion items to share today that will give you a chance to help direct us and how we improve Viewmont Park. We will wrap up today's meeting with an overview of the project schedule, and we'll have our contact information as well. Next slide. I did want to take a minute to walk you through some of the features of our virtual meeting platform. We ask that you remain muted throughout the presentation portion of the meeting. You'll notice a microphone shake button in the lower left-hand side of your screen. The red slash is through that, and that means that you're muted. We will have an opportunity to ask questions and provide some feedback by unmuting a little bit later in the meeting. If you have any comments or questions through the presentation tonight, feel free to use the chat function. You should see a button on the bottom of your screen that looks like a little word bubble with chat underneath that, and you can type in there. So let's test the chat feature very quickly. If you would, please type your name and your favorite outdoor activity. All right, I'll give everybody, we've got a lot of walkers in the group. I'll let everybody continue to share that, and we'll move on to the next slide. I will let you know that we are recording the meeting this evening, and we'll post a link to this on our public input site. We'll share that link here at the end of the meeting. So if you have any friends or neighbors who are unable to attend tonight, they can come back and watch that through YouTube online. So over the last 2 years, the Board of County Commissioners set aside $7 million as part of a broader equity initiative to use for reinvestment in park and recreation facilities. The funds that will be used to improve Viewmont Park are part of that overall funding. Recently, Mecklenburg County Park and Recreation have completed our new Park and Recreation Master Plan, MEC Playbook. One component of the plan was a full inventory and assessment of all of our parks, greenways, nature preserves, recreation centers, and other department facilities. As a result of the assessment, each park and recreation facility was given a grade. The lower grade that Viewmont Park received made it a clear candidate for significant investment and improvements now. The same system will be used to prioritize our future investments in existing facilities. Next slide, please. Just to give you a sense of the number of facilities we have within our system now, over 250 different facilities within our portfolio. We will update this assessment on a regular basis so that we can track our progress over time. And so we can prioritize investment and reinvestment in our facilities. This process provides us with an improved method of accountability by getting eyes on all of our parks and other facilities on a regular basis. Next slide, please. After the inventory and assessment were complete, the results were compiled and sorted into a summary sheet based on park classification. What you see here shows a summary of our neighborhood or local parks. You can see that Viewmont Park received an F grade due to the lack of accessible paths, low visibility within the park, and few park amenities. But Viewmont Park has great potential, and we want to use your ideas to help make that potential a reality. Next slide, please. Wanted to show you some of the other parks that we're also working through currently as part of the funding that was set aside by the Board of County Commissioners over the last 2 years. You see Viewmont Park up to the upper right of the map here, along with a number of other parks in and around the county. With that, we'll go to the next slide, and I'll turn it over to Katie Lloyd for our first poll of the evening.
Thanks, Bert. So this is just to kind of test out the polling feature and then to see who we have on the call. Have you ever been to Viewmont Park? And so you should have a dialog box that just kind of popped up, and you should be able to select yes or no. Looks like almost everyone has submitted. So give everyone a couple more seconds. So about 2/3 or 3/5 of you have been to the park. So I'm going to share the results back to you. So most of you have been there. We'll ask you a little bit later some more information via the poll and via the chat feature as well.
Hello, everyone. My name is Darnica Waters. I'm the planner for this project, Viewmont Park. And these next few slides are just to show you Viewmont Park surroundings and context before the land was part of Mecklenburg County Park and Rec. In 1938, the area is very rural and agriculture based. The nearest major feature at the time was Old Concord Road and the railroad, which you can see here. Also, if you look at the top corner, you can see the basic footprint for North Tryon. And in the bottom right, there are alignments for the plaza and W.T. Harris Boulevard. In 1951, the major thoroughfares mentioned in the previous slide acquired more development, mainly residential. As stated before, have here with Tryon, start seeing more rooftops here. And also in the bottom right along the plaza and W.T. Harris. And the park is still basically agricultural land. Around 1978, the parkland was under the Charlotte Park and Recreation Commission's jurisdiction. The purchase of the parkland in 1977 from a developer was bought with the intention to serve neighboring communities in and around what was the Crab Orchard Township. You can see that the area is more defined and denser and closely resembles the modern Eastway neighborhood. With the residential market, utility infrastructure was expanded to match demand, as seen by the electrical line cutting through the tree canopy, which now borders the left or western side of the park. Mecklenburg County did not acquire the parkland until the city and county merger, which took place in the 1990s, early 1990s. Currently, Viewmont Park is 11 acres and includes a swing set and unpaved trails, kind of remnants from park amenities of the past. Viewmont Park is located in Viewmont Drive. Here it's a dead-end street, and it's bounded by residential and industrial uses. The industrial at the rear of the park was constructed in the mid-90s. The park site is bisected by a large swale. Relatively, it's around here if you follow the mouse, which drains to a spur of Briar Creek, which runs along the southern edge of Viewmont Park. The topography along the northern side of the swale is relatively flat. And I know you can't see the contours here, but there's a swale going here. And this is relatively flat here at the top of the site. Sorry about that. And this is just to show you, this is the entrance, the main entrance to the park at the dead end of Viewmont Drive. As you can see, we have a swing set and a couple of, as I stated before, remnants of park programming in the past. All right, and I'll turn it over to Katie Lloyd for another poll.
Okay, thanks, Danica. So for the folks that have been to the park, we're curious, how often do you visit the park? So that box should pop up again. You have the option to choose daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, never. And we asked this kind of early on in the design in hopes that if we ask you this again after we finish the park improvements, that answer will hopefully change. And so we can create a park that you can hopefully use more often, more regularly as well. So we've got a few answers, maybe one more person. Okay, I think that's about everyone. So let me end the poll and share it back to you. So no one's using it daily or weekly. We've got one person using it monthly and a couple more using it yearly. So that gives us a good idea of, at least of the people on the call tonight, what your park usage is.
All right. With this slide, we have potential park amenities. So we have park shelter, playground, fitness equipment, and this is just to get the initial thoughts going as we lead to our next poll.
And Darnika showed you a couple examples of some of our typical park amenities. So of the things that, we would typically maybe find in a park of this size, which would you pick was the kind of one most important thing? A shelter, fitness equipment, playground, seating, or you can choose other. And then we'll have an opportunity in a minute to share maybe some of those other ideas of things you might like to see in the park as well. But of kind of the typical park elements, are any of these standing out for you? I'm seeing a couple votes come in. So give you a few more seconds. Okay, I think that's most everyone. Let me end this and share it back to you. So shelter and fitness equipment tied tonight, with playground being a very close third. So that's good to know. All right, next slide, Darnika. So with that, besides the shelter or the picnic equipment or the fitness equipment or the playground, what other things would you like to see at Viewmont Park? And I'll try to write down what I hear from you. We're a fairly small group, so if you just want to unmute and talk, or if you want to type into the chat, feel free to share however you feel most comfortable.
Hi, this is Van. I would just say that if there were options or if it was available, I would like to see all three of those things. If we could have a smaller playground with the shelter and some fitness equipment, I think if those things were added, that would be great for me. Another thing would be a couple of benches for people to just kind of sit and relax.
Thanks for sharing. Anyone else?
Yeah, I would like to maybe have I'm not sure what it's called, pickleball.
Yeah, pickleball.
Yeah, okay, yeah. You know, pickleball, a place to play that would be good.
Pickleball is so popular right now. We get so many requests for that. Where are you playing right now?
You know what? Actually, I don't play, but one of my friends been playing for a while, so I'm like, yeah, that would be good to have around here.
I haven't played it either, but I've scheduled a time soon to learn because everyone that has played, I think, is obsessed with it.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
Any other ideas? And this can be pretty conversational. So if you think of anything else, feel free to jump in.
Yeah, Katie, I saw that Peter had typed in kind of paved trails or paths, going back to a lot of the responses that we got in terms of what your favorite thing to do outside is. If there's a nice, safe place to walk, that might be something to add into the conversation.
Definitely. All right, let me save this. Then I'll clear the drawings. If you want to go to the next slide, Darnika. So that's, I think, it for most of our program for tonight. This is really just the first start to get people's ideas going. But do you have any other questions for us or any other comments about what we're working on at Viewmont Park?
Any time frame on when these changes might be implemented?
We're actually getting into our schedule, I believe, in the next slide.
Can you go ahead and pull that up, Darnika, and we can walk through it?
All right. So with today's meeting, excuse me. With today's meeting, it's only the first step in the process of improving Viewmont Park. The next steps in the process are taking the information you shared today and what others have also shared on the public input website to begin developing a design for improving the park. We will come back to share these ideas, over the next few months, and the overall design and images of the potential improvements will be shared also. And we're hoping, or at least we've estimated, that the construction for the park will start later on this year, with a potential wrapping up at the end of this year. So just with some more buy-in from the neighborhood, we can really reinvigorate this park and provide the amenities that the neighborhood and community so desire.
And I've got a question for you guys. Do you guys have any contacts or any recommendations for us to share the word in your neighborhoods about our effort here at the park?
I don't have any contacts, and actually I live off of Somersworth Drive, and we have a different park, like Unity Park.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just saw this in my mailing and wanted to jump in on the meeting, but I don't live around Viewmont, and I don't use that park. But yeah, I just wanted to jump in on this meeting. But question, anything in the works for Unity Park? Just curious.
Bert or Peter, you want to share anything about?
Yeah, I just went back and looked at the list real quick from our inventory and assessment. So Unity was like middle of the road. It was kind of received an acceptable grade. So typically parks like that, we will go in and do kind of smaller improvements rather than major improvements or expansions. And I don't have the list of our approved capital reserve projects in front of me, but I'm going to put my email address in the chat. And if you would reach out to me, I can get that information tomorrow and share with you if there's anything planned or funded there right now.
I do know in the last maybe about 6 years or so, we put in a new playground out there. There was a Charlotte water project towards the back, tennis courts were replaced. So it has a pretty nice ball field and relatively new tennis courts and a relatively new playground area.
Okay, thanks.
As far as getting the word out, I know in Eastbrook Woods, we have had community meetings once a month. But I can honestly say I haven't been attending on a regular basis. So I don't know if anyone has been able to connect with the community leaders, because that would definitely be, or if they're on this call, I'm not sure. That would definitely be a way to start getting the word out.
Yeah, that's a great idea. We send out, usually when we're doing these meetings, we send out postcards announcing the public meeting, within at least a half a mile from the park site. So sometimes in relation to reaching out to community leaders, sometimes those contact numbers are forthcoming sooner. Sometimes those are easier to find, but in this case, I did not have much luck, or we didn't have much luck. But if Ms. White, if you're able to provide that contact info, then I will definitely reach out to those community leaders you're talking about.
And I can follow up. I know there have been some changes. I used to have a couple of them that literally lived up the corner from me, but like I said, a couple of individuals moved. But I'll follow up and just to see if I can find out who those individuals are, and I could send that to the email that the person just provided, or directly to you. How can I pass that on?
Either way, but please do, I can put my email address in the chat as well. And you can reach out to me or call me, whichever you prefer.
Okay.
I'm open.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So we're very efficient with our time and our comments tonight. I wanted to make sure that there were no additional questions or comments to share. If not, then we'll post the recording of this meeting, a link to it for folks to be able to go back and rewatch if they'd like, on the publicinput.com/Viewmont website. And then my phone number and email address, along with that of Darnika and Katie, are on the screen here. We'll also post a file of these slides so that if you'd like to go back and get that information, then you can do that. As Darnika stated, our plan is to move fairly quickly with this project. We want to implement it as quickly as we can. So within the next couple of weeks, we'll post an initial concept or a couple of concepts on the public input website. We'll send out a notification to you through email, letting you know that it's there. and to spread the word on those, provide some feedback on those, and then we'll start kind of getting into the construction design of it this summer and start making some improvements late summer or early fall of 2022.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, if that's all, we thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to seeing you soon, hearing some more input, and eventually celebrating a brand new Viewmont Park with you. So have a good evening.
Yeah, thanks,
All right,
guys.
thanks for sharing all the info. Thank you.
Thanks.